Hello, everyone, and welcome again to Hidden Truths. And today we have Eugene Hoover, who is going to speak about how you can prepare yourself for retirement and how you can manage your portfolio to ensure that your retirement savings are going to be as good as possible. Hello, Eugene. How are you today?
I'm doing very well. How are you doing?
Doing great, great. Can't wait to hear what you have to say on that topic.
Essentially, what I wanted to talk about was a couple of things. One, I wanted to talk about some of the things you might find in your 401k. And today we're going to be talking about target date funds just for a minute. I also wanted to talk about getting closer to retirement and actually being in retirement, because these are some very different things. When you're young, you can take a very risky allocation in your stocks and bonds. But as you get older, you're going to want to start becoming a little more conservative. It's important to know I am an investment advisor. I also have been working on getting my CFP certification. So I have a little bit of skin in the game. I'm not just some guy off the street. Real quick, I want to talk about the target date funds. When you first start your 401k, you might find that you don't really know what to do. So you might just pick a fund that changes your allocation over time. That's a target date fund. If you're planning on retiring when you're 65 and you find out that year is 2060, you're going to pick a 2060 target date fund. The important thing to note is there's actually two different types of target date funds. There's the through target date fund, and the two means at that year that you're planning on retiring, it's the most conservative allocation. That's important to note because if you have a through, it's not actually going to reach that most conservative allocation until after you've already retired. So that's an important thing to note. The other thing I want to note is if you don't have that kind of thing, if you don't have a target date fund where it's automatically changing your allocation, you probably just have a portfolio of stocks and bonds. The important thing to note is, and I generally tell clients about 5 years out from retirement is when you want to start thinking about this kind of thing. And most of the time it's going to be okay, but I've seen a lot of clients, and the reason for this video today is I've seen so many clients lately that have a lot of risk in their portfolios when they shouldn't. They're planning on retiring in a year, or some of them are already retired. If you have a stock market that decides to be bearish for a long period of time, you could really run into an issue of not having the money you need just to survive. Those are some things I wanted to know.
That's important to know, and we sometimes we don't think about this. We think it's all good, we've saved, but we don't realize the type of environment that we are in.
Exactly, because it's one of those kind of set it and forget it type of things. You're putting money away every month, your employer is automatically putting it away. You don't really think about it. And the thing is, a lot of us are hopefully going to be okay in the sense of when you decide to retire, the market goes up more often than it goes down. Awesome. But there are people who are going to suffer. We're going to go, I'm going to retire next year. That's the game plan. I'm going to retire next year. I'm looking forward to it. That year comes, and it just so happens we're in a bear market at that time.
Right.
If we're in a bear market at that time, all of a sudden, all of your plans are going to change. You might end up having to work an extra 3 years or something. You might have had that cruise plan. The moment you're going to retire, going to go on that cruise. And all of a sudden now, you're running the numbers and you realize, I don't have enough money for retirement if I was to retire right now. So this is an important thing to consider. And this is one of those moments where I'm all for people who want to manage their finances all by themselves. That's great. That's awesome. But just realize if you don't have the knowledge to do it and you're just a couple of years out from retirement, I would highly suggest talking to somebody who specializes in this kind of thing because you don't want a surprise to come right as you're retiring.
Absolutely. And that somebody can be you. And this is why it's so valuable to spend a little bit of money talking with someone like you who you just live and breathe this every day. You understand the trends, you understand the economic environment, you know how to advise people in the right direction so that at least they have information that they can work with. And that I think is the most difficult thing to do sometimes is to gather enough information that allows us to make informed decisions that are going to be good for us. This is why people like you exist, Eugene.
Exactly, right. And it's a lot of work. People can do it themselves, awesome. But just like you giving your car to a mechanic, either you don't have the time or your time is better spent doing something else, or you don't have the experience to do it. When you get to the point where you've got a lot of money, you've got a lot of skin in the game, that's the time where it's, let's not mess around. This is real money. This is your real life, so let's make sure you're taken care of. And at the point when you're getting close to retirement and once you retire, it's time to start thinking about the end goal in the sense of what are the things you want to do. If you want to go on that, maybe it's $100,000 cruise, just an example, must be a hell of a cruise, but cruise, right? When you retire, you've got to have that planned out.
Yeah.
And you don't want any surprises right beforehand. Is basically what I'm getting at.
Yeah, no, that's critical information. And so many people just bury their heads in the sand thinking it's all going to be good. They are sometimes scared of looking at their portfolio and scared of learning the truth. But I think it's a lot wiser to really understand exactly the situation that you are in so that you have options, at least you're informed.
Exactly. And sometimes it's a case where you just got to work a couple more years. You don't want to, but maybe working that just extra 2 years could change the rest of your life. And so at that point, it's worth it.
Yeah. So what should people do if they're interested in having someone like you help them out? What's the route?
There's a couple ways to go about it. The important thing to know is different companies do different things in the sense of there's just investment advisors. Those will just manage your money. There's companies that only do financial planning. There's also companies that do both of them. To look for a financial planner, there's a couple ways to do it. One of the ways you could do it is you go through the CFP board, find certified people who do it. The thing is word of mouth and just going online and looking for the person who you need. The moment when you got Social Security and you got a special type of pension, and maybe you have this specific special stock deferral plan. And there's a case to be made that if you are really complex, you need to go to a special financial planner. But at the end of the day, your whole goal is to be able to continue living your life like you are today, cover that minimum dignity floor. I don't want anyone sleeping outside type of thing. Also, be able to plan for all those vacations you want to do when early on in your retirement. As you get farther along in your retirement, you're not going to be wanting to go out as much and go on that cruise. You're going to start to slow down, and eventually you're not going to go on any cruises. You're not going to go anywhere out of the country. And the idea is to plan for all of that. If you want to leave your kids some money or you want to pay for education, you got to plan for all of that.
Yeah.
So it's important.
That planning is critical, and who knows what's going to happen. But I know the government is potentially thinking about extending retirement age to, I think it was 70 years old, I heard a couple of days ago. So you have a lot of uncertainty there too that you have to take into consideration in your planning as well.
Exactly. Just for example, we just had Secure Act 2.0 pass in December, and that's going to change a lot of things. It's going to change when you've got to start taking your RMDs. It's going to change all of those things. And so that does change your plan. Some of it's good, especially for people who have a lot of money and they don't want to take those RMDs so early on. That's great. If you go open up Secure Act 2.0, you're going to realize it's really long. So it's a good idea to have somebody who's looked through it and manages it every single day.
This is great information. So what would you like to leave some of your viewers with? What is the one advice, the one thing that you would like them to remember?
Number one thing I think is remember your time, because your time is the most valuable thing. Time is also the most valuable variable in money. And so just remember, you start saving as early as you can, the more money you're going to have. And just managing your time is important because you can make as much money, infinity. You can have an unlimited amount of money, but you only have a definite amount of time. So manage that carefully.
I love it. This is great advice. Thank you so much. And for everyone, if you want to schedule a time to speak with Eugene or someone, the team at Hidden Truths, you can schedule an appointment. We're going to leave the link below in the comment area. So you just click on the link and then you can schedule an appointment to speak with them. It's completely free. You'll be able to have an idea of what are the next steps to start working on planning for your retirement and having the right advice so that you can really optimize your return and have what you need when it is time to say goodbye to work. Thank you so much again, everyone, for watching. Remember to subscribe to the channel and share with your network so that you can help others get this type of information that can be really important for their future. Thank you so much and see you next time. Thank you again, Eugene, for this great information.